Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome to week 3 of US History with LT. I am really excited about what I've been seeing on the discussion boards. I think all of you did an outstanding job this week of embracing the topics, the questions, and you really articulated some excellent responses in the discussion boards. So thank you for that. I'm really excited how things are going. As you see, this class is going to fly. We've already finished 2 weeks and we are now in week 3. So the discussion boards are a way, there's kind of a method between my madness. Part of it is to get you guys communicating and having conversations, obviously. But the other part is to prep you for what is going to happen this week in the class. And that is your first of 3 papers. Yes, I know when I say papers, it's a scary word, especially because this is I think, your first college paper. But I want you to know that as long as you work through the lectures, take your time crafting your responses, you will have nothing to worry about. And I have your back, and I'm here to help you and answer questions throughout the week. So essentially, we're going to get through this together, and it's not as big and scary as you might think. And so, what I want to do for you today is go through I guess you can say, the guidelines and the directions for working on your papers and then submitting them this week. And so, I'm going to make myself little and put me in the corner. And what you will see here is our home sweet home, right? Here's our course home where you guys have been going to. And so you are going to go to week 3, right? Where we see the join or die, the revolution, week 3, this flag or this, emblem of what was happening in the colonies. And so once you click on week 3, you are going to see that we have some content to go over first. So please don't forget that we still have a lecture. So first you're going to click on this and take your time reading through the lecture. As you've told me, right? Did we learn new things about Columbus? Yes. Have we learned new things about Native Americans? Yes. Have we learned new things about the transatlantic slave trade and King Philip's War? Yes, right? So you are going to learn new things about the American Revolution. And you're going to see old things that you already know, but now in a more sophisticated, complicated way, if that makes sense. And so be sure to go through that PowerPoint because you're going to need it to write the third question on your paper. The second thing you'll see is the local history for this week. So feel free to watch it. I think it's a good one. I think you will like it. And of course, any feedback you have via email or in the chat on our Brightspace would be awesome. So feel free to let me know what you think about this week's local history. And then you will see, there it is, the big scary paper 1. Okay, so as you will see, this is where you're going to come, okay? And if you haven't been here yet, this is where you will see the guidelines. And as I say, for the questions you're going to answer, directions, tips, instructions, and when you're finished with the paper, to submit it, okay? So this is where you're going to go. This is your home base for this week. All right, so what you're going to see when you get here is your guidelines, right? So this is important, and we're going to go here right away. But first, let me show you, this is where you'll submit it when you're finished. And then also you will see the grading rubric that I use to grade your paper. So feel free to look at that and grade yourself. So I'll come back to the rubric and I'll come back to where you submit it. But first, let's go to these guidelines, okay? So when you open the guidelines, they are specific to this week. However, all 3 papers will look just like this. So once you do it once, the only thing that's going to change is the content. So that's kind of the nice thing. If you make mistakes on this one, it's okay. We have 2 more chances to improve on these assignments. All right, so as you'll see, here is the due date, right? So due before midnight this Sunday. You'll submit it on Brightspace. And this is kind of my way of saying, yeah, we've talked about some pretty important things. We've discussed them kind of casually in discussion boards, but now it's time to put it in a formal paper, right? And so what you will have for me is 3 questions, okay? The beautiful thing about this is each question goes with a week. Okay. However, you'll see on question 1, it's about Columbus from week 1, and then Thanksgiving and slavery from week 2. Week 2 also, or I'm sorry, question 2 will also deal mostly, maybe some native culture from week 1, but mostly with life in colonial America, the lecture that you just did. And last but not least, question 3 will be on this week's lecture, the American Revolution. And so, as you will see, each question will deserve its own response. And so, roughly 500 words per response for a total of 1,500 words for the whole paper. Sometimes I've had students try to get creative and write all 3 questions in one big paper. And you could do it, but don't make it hard on yourself, right? Just take one question at a time, and each question will be worth 25 points. And so each question is worth its own 25 points. So I've had students say, like, can I write 900 words for one and then 300 words for two? Well, you could, but the one you write 900 words on is going to be really good. And that one you write 300 on, it's not going to get those 25 points because it's just not going to be thorough enough. Okay. So stick to the 500 words per question. Can you go over? Yes. But I wouldn't say any more than like 750, 800 max, because otherwise it's just getting too much for you to write, too much for me to read. 500 is, the minimum. You can go over, but don't be doubling or tripling that word count. Okay, so as you see for the questions, each one is kind of different, right? The first one is about these certain events. What are they? What they have in common? Why aren't they taught? The second question is actually going to be you in first person. So you're coming from England, you're going around the colonies, and you are going to write 500 words on what you're seeing, right? And then the third question is basically, why did the American Revolution happen, right? Why was America created? Why did we separate from Britain and have this Civil War? And so that's the 3 questions you're going to be answering. And here's how you're going to do it. So content requirements, this is the sweet spot. So make an argument which states your position on the question. This is what you've already been doing on the discussion boards, whether or not you even realize it. And so when it says make an argument, for example, look at number 3, okay? You probably shouldn't start your response with, well, there was the French and Indian War, and then there was the Proclamation of 1763, and then there was the Stamp Act, and then there was the Tea Act. Like, that's just a list of events, right? You need to actually answer the question, right? And then use your evidence to back it up. So make your argument, right? Make what you want to say and say it, right? Now, in history, as we've talked about, we use facts. And so evidence is key. And as you see, it's 15 points out of those 25. So there should be specific factual evidence from lecture, right? If you say slavery was wrong, slavery was bad, slavery was miserable, slavery was not a good thing, okay, we know that, but how? Tell me how. Tell me why. Give me specifics from lecture. Okay. And then you will see analyze, right? And explain your evidence back in relation to your argument, right? So it comes full circle. Here's what I think. Here's the evidence to prove it. And this is what it all means, right? So if you're realizing you're writing and it's like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, stop, take a breath, and tell me what it means, especially back in relation to your argument. Now, the last part that you'll need to do is you'll need to organize your response into paragraphs. Now, this is each individual response, right? And so even though you're just answering questions, we still want to use paragraphs. Otherwise, it looks like a big blurb of just blah on the paper. And you're like, here, LT, here's a bunch of facts, figure it out. Well, no, that's not my job to figure it out. Your job is to make it organized for me so it's easy to read and it's organized and your evidence comes very clearly, right? And so if you've used the 5-paragraph essay in high school, you can kiss that goodbye. We don't need to do that, right? You can use 2 paragraphs, you can use 3 paragraphs, you can use 4, 5, maybe 6, right? As long as it's not 1 paragraph and as long as it's not like 17 paragraphs, because that's a little excessive for 500 words. So whatever fits, right? Use paragraphs to organize your evidence and show me that you've thought about this, right? And you just weren't off to the races, just furiously typing. Okay, so that is how you get your credit for each response. Now, here are some tips for the overall paper. First, as we talked about, 500 words per question. double space, Times New Roman, 12-point font. It's just something to get used to for college. We like it. It's easy. It makes sense. Just do it. It's easy to do. 25 points will be allocated for organization and grammar. And so please use paragraphs. Please use correct punctuation. Please proofread it, avoid typing errors, etc. That's the last 25 points of your 100 points, right? So 25 per question and then 25 per organization. Now, I'm not looking for the next great American novel, but it's also a college paper, and it shouldn't look like you just did it really quick and then turned it in. Okay, you should show me that you took your time to proofread it and you're proud of it. It's a polished piece of work and you're turning it in with pride. Okay, and then the last little thing is submit it to Brightspace, which I'll show you in a second. And if you don't turn it in by the deadline, it is 10% or 10 points per calendar day. So please get it in on time. And if you have any extenuating circumstances, medical, work, family, please communicate with me ASAP, and then we can work things out. If those come after the deadline, it's usually too late. Okay, so some helpful hints. Arguments can come multiple sentences. You can get rid of that one sentence thesis, right? They can come at the beginning or the end of the response. Be sure to pick the strongest evidence from your notes and stick to the question, right? Obviously, you're not going to be writing the entire PowerPoint. I don't want to see that. But you should select the most important evidence, right? If you have to make a point, you want to make it with the best evidence you can find. Don't use the internet, period. If you use it, I'll know it because it's obviously not my information. And also, if it contains things from the internet, it's going to be picked up on a plagiarism software that is in all Brightspace courses. So it will be detected and it will be invalid. And the last thing I want is for plagiarism to happen in your first college class. So just use your own words. You don't need to cite my lecture. No citations necessary. I know what I said. You can use anything in the PowerPoint, the videos freely. And last but not least, even though this is focused on content, your argument, your evidence, your analysis, it should be a proofread, polished paper. So yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I can look at rough drafts. I can give you feedback. And if you want to work through some of these things, we can even set up a Zoom message and talk about it and share your screen over Zoom. So yeah, and this is 100 points, so it's a big whammy, and I want y'all to spend time on it, and if you need help throughout the week, just let me know and I can help you. Okay, so let me come back to here. So let's say you've finished your paper, and let me just pull up, okay. So let's say you finish your paper and here it is, right? You just take it and you drag it, and once that light blue color comes up, that means it's in there. And then once you do that, you hit submit and it's submitted. Okay, so that's how easy it is to submit your paper. And right here we have the paper rubric. So this is what I will use to grade it, and you can grade yourselves. And so what you'll see is each question is its individual points, right? So question 1, question 2, question 3, and then your last 25 points come from overall quality, right? And so that right there is how your paper is graded. Okay, so I think that that was kind of like a quick run through, but go over those guidelines, look at them. If you have any questions, let me know. And again, we can work through email, work through Zoom. I want y'all to feel comfortable about this. You've been doing a great job in the discussion boards. Don't forget to read through the lecture for this week and watch the video. That will help you with question 3. And start your papers now. Get a head start on them. Turn them in on Friday, and then you have the whole weekend. And I am here to help you and ensure you that you feel comfortable with what you want to turn in. Okay. So please get in touch with me with anything other than that. I'll stay posted. My APUSH leadership duties are over, so you have my full and undivided attention. And other than that, we got this. So go ahead, get to work. Let me know if you need anything. I love y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.